Hey, church family, James here. Day 26, Psalm 26, a psalm that shows us where integrity comes from. Let's read it together. Psalm 26. Of David, vindicate me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity, and I have trusted in the Lord without wavering. Prove me, O Lord, and try me. Test my heart and my mind, for your steadfast love is before my eyes, and I walk in your faithfulness. Do not sit with men of falsehood, nor do I consort with hypocrites. I hate the assembly of evildoers, and I will not sit with the wicked. I wash my hands in innocence and go around your altar, O Lord, proclaiming thanksgiving aloud and telling all your wondrous deeds. O Lord, I love the habitation of your house and the place where your glory dwells. Do not sweep my soul away with sinners, nor my life with bloodthirsty men, in whose hands are evil devices and whose right hands are full of bribes. But as for me, I shall walk in my integrity. Redeem me and be gracious to me. My foot stands on level ground. In the great assembly, I will bless the Lord. So one of the key words then in this psalm is the term integrity. You see it there in verse 1 where David says, "For I have walked in my integrity." And then we see it again in verse 11 where David says, "I shall walk in my integrity. I have walked in it," verse 1, "and I'll continue to walk in it," verse 11. Now, when we read sections like this, it might be easy to think that David sounds, maybe a little like self-righteous, but that's not what's happening. David's not claiming he's perfect. Instead, commentators help us by telling us that the basic meaning of this term integrity that we see in verse 1 and verse 11 is wholeness. Wholeness, usually in the sense of wholeheartedness or sincerity. So David's not saying, hey, I'm perfect. He's saying, I'm following you wholeheartedly. He's being confronted by enemies and is being tempted to compromise with them. But he says, verses 4 and 5, that he won't do it. Rather than give in to that evil, he wants instead to worship the Lord. See reference to the altar, the thanksgiving, the habitation of his house. He doesn't want to compromise with evil. He wants to worship his God. He wants to have a whole heart. Now, where does this devotion come from? Does it come from his own strength, his own resolve, his own character? No, it comes from remembering his God. God is the main character of this psalm, which is why David follows each statement of his integrity with explicit reference to, God's love in verse 3 or God's grace in verse 11. Reflecting on who God is and what God's done for him is what creates this kind of wholehearted devotion in David. And of course, it can do the same for us. In our faith, I think we all want to be people of integrity. We don't want to be flaky, or we don't want to be hypocritical. We want to have a kind of wholehearted, sincere devotion to God. Not just paying lip service to the things of faith, but really living them out in our lives. When that is kind of integrity is challenged, when we find ourselves in situations where we, like David, are tempted to compromise, maybe it's giving in to anger with a spouse or a friend, or being selfish with our time when God's called us to serve, some other way or some other temptation that you're facing in life. When we face these temptations, the solution that we might have integrity is to remember our God. The strength and character we need don't naturally reside within us. Devotion instead is formed when we remember our God. We think on Jesus, all he is, all that he's done. And in those moments then, thinking on him is what causes our hearts to overflow with devotion. So if you want to have integrity in your faith, think less about yourself. Think a little more about our God. Psalm 26.